All right. So this is our handy dandy forum if you're not familiar. And I'm going to jump over to our developer site. My screen doesn't seem to be updating. Let me see if I can't fix that. There we go. All right. So if you are brand new to Extend, you are brand new to Workday, there is a couple things that you need to be aware of when you get into the developer site. You have a slew of tools at your disposal, including App Builder, Orchestration Builder, and the Developer Forum, to name just a few important ones. Our developer forum is very, very active. We have tons of folks on there already, and I believe our turnaround rate on any questions asked there is within an hour. So if you guys have any particular questions that are not answered on this particular stream or anywhere else, the developer forum is a great place to go and get started, as well as our tutorials and other different learning documentation and all that good stuff on the dev site itself, as well as the app builder, which we're going to jump into in a second here. So I have a little harebrained idea that I've been wanting to do recently. I want to create an app that essentially tells me when it's a good time to purchase or sell my RSUs for when I'm, awarded them at my company. So a lot of folks, get different equity within their company, and it'd be nice to know, when is a good time to sell or not. Granted, you can't particularly give financial advice, but you'll have to give that a disclaimer. But I am curious when, certain stock prices hit highs or lows, and that kind of thing. So my harebrained idea, I'm actually going to kind of draw this out for us here. What essentially I want to do is, so I've found several different stock APIs, and I want to, from Workday, I want to call this API and then have my Extend app save that stock price either once or twice a day. So we'll just say twice per day. And then save that into a business object. And then display this data either on a home card or to a notification. That's kind of what I want to build. There's several pieces that we'll have to actually build with this. The home card itself, the Extend application, and then an orchestration. This is probably an orc right here. This is really big. This is a cool little drawing tool as well. I found earlier this morning, tldraw.com. There's literally no login. Just go here and start drawing. If you guys ever want to whiteboard things by yourself. All right, let's jump over and start building this app. So I'm going to create from scratch. I'm going to just call this stock notifications. And I'm going to create an Extend app. There's several different types of apps you can create. The Extend app is going to have the whole breadth of everything Extend has to offer, including the UI piece of things, as well as the orchestration integration. You can also do a home card application, which is strictly just a home card that you can push to your home cards, just like any other card within Workday. And then the last one is going to be a integration app, which leverages the orchestrations to simplify all of your integration needs. So we're actually going to get started with the orchestration piece of this app, because that's, I feel like, kind of the most important, is pulling that stock data in. All right, and that's going to be a synchronous organization because we want to make a call out to an API and then wait for that API to come back to us. So we're going to call this stock retrieval. All right, so before we start building in our orchestration here, let's actually figure out which stock API we're going to use for this. And again, there's a slew of them out there. Many of them are paid, but I'm going to try to find one for this particular use case that does not require a paid subscription, mostly for demo purposes. This seems to have a generous free tier according to its pricing. So I can make 5 API calls a minute. This should work. We'll sign up with my GitHub. One moment while I grab this API. All right. So now I have logged in and created this API. I'm essentially going to need most likely an API key that will be able to call this. So if I jump back over to my orchestrations, I can add components. And if you're not familiar with the orchestration builder here, over on the left is going to be all of your components that you're able to drag and drop and create very low code orchestration integrations. Up at the very top, you can see all of your orchestrations that you have built, as well as sub orchestrations that you can use as reusable bits of integration that you can then tie into the full-on orchestrations. For this, we're going to use just the send HTTP request to make this call to the stock API that we just signed up for. We're going to go to their APIs. Let's go ahead and pull up a Postman here so we can just test to see that their APIs even work. All right. Close all my extra stuff. I don't have a significant amount of tabs open, I promise. All right. Go ahead and create a new request here, HTTP request. And we're going to be calling this guy. All right. So that's easy enough. I am getting, just generic data back from their sample. This is, again, just a sample API request that they provide for me. This is not the API key that is generated for me. I'm going to have to mask that, so we won't need to share that with the open internet. All right, so I have a functioning API call. I need to now get their API request. Yep. So we're just going to use this generic one for testing purposes. We'll go ahead and just deploy this, and this actually should work right out of the gate, because again, this is a test API that is just pulling back a bunch of generic data that I don't necessarily care about, but I do want to see that data is coming into my orchestration. All right, I'm going to deploy it. It's going to authenticate. All right, let's see. I don't think I'm sending anything back in the response though. So this is going to essentially call this ATP request, and then nothing's going to happen with that data. So I need to actually configure this response to have something coming back. And I'm going to reference existing data. I'm going to reference the data coming back from my HTTP request. And I'm going to deploy this one more time. And I could have tested this and then just checked the logs to see what's coming back, but I'd like to see the actual response come back in our little handy dandy debugger. And one of the brand new features actually is debugging individual steps. We'll take a look at that too. All right, so we have deployed our handy orchestration. Let's go ahead and run it. I am getting the results back, same thing we were seeing from before, perfect. And we can debug individual steps too. So if I click this step and click on debug step, I can actually run just this step through the debugger. So if you have a big long orchestration and you don't want to have to pick each little piece apart, this is a great way to test that. So I just click play and I just debugged this send HTTP request. So again, if I have a ton of different steps in this orchestration and I am trying to find a particular error in a particular step, this is a great way to do it, because I can see all this great stuff in my output, and now I can debug the whole thing and I can debug my orchestration at the root level. Alrighty, so we are now going to go back to our extend app because we have some sample data coming in that we can play with. So now we're going to create a card that I'd like to be on my home page. So we're going to go card, stock card. Yeah, I actually have not played with the debugger a whole lot. It's pretty slick. And I imagine once your orchestrations get hefty and complex, that comes super handy. All right. Is there a stock icon I can use? No. Let's just use our building. Or actually, there's a chart right there. There we go. And we're going to name this my stock. Okay. Now we want to get our data from our orchestration into our card. And to do that, we're going to want to save it. So once we get our data back from our orchestration, that works great. Now I need to put that data somewhere so it doesn't kind of get lost when that orchestration is run. So what I'm going to do now is create myself a business object, and I'm going to call it stock data. And it needs to be Pascal case, uppercase. There we go. To create myself a security domain to secure this. Stock data security domain. And this is going to be for, we'll use it for both. Go back to my object, security domain, perfect. Add a field. So I'm going to need, for one, the stock ticker. Needs to be camel case. And that's going to be text. This can be my display name. And then I'm going to add another field that is going to be the current price. And this one's going to be a decimal. And I really only care about 2 decimal places. And also I want to know, actually what's coming back exactly? I haven't, so we got the currency, the amount, basically the current price. Oh, these are dividends. So this is when what has been paid from this particular and the dividend date. But what I want from this is actual stock data in regards to the current price, not the dividends. So let's try to find an API that will give us what we're looking for here. So we don't want to know the dividend price, we want to know the current stock price. Ticker overview, looks like there's a ticker overview. And I'm going to use this. Is there a curl? There is a curl. So let's do another postman here. All right, now we're cooking. So we'll save this. I need to go back to my orchestration and get some relevant data. Because once I create this business object, then I can start putting stuff into the business object, and I want to be retrieving the right data to put in there. All right, and this is going to be a real API, so there's that. And then I need a parameter. This is actually going to be my API key. I should probably put this into my app variables at some point, just for my security standpoint, but at the moment I'm not going to do that, just from a speed perspective. All right, I'm gonna hide this so you guys don't see my actual. All right, so now we'll deploy this. This is currently getting the Apple ticker. So that is a pretty generous API tier. If you can call this 5 times a minute, like I don't really know how many people are checking their stock tickers 5 times every minute, but I was thinking probably running this once or twice a day. All right, so we have it deployed. Let's go ahead and see what that returns. It's returning the right ticker, returning the stock price. Let's see if this is actually returning the proper stock price. Debug the step. I want to see this in a fancy format. Stock, description, root. Man, this has a lot of information just on this company itself. But not the current price. Interesting. Darn it. So this is literally returning me just company information based on the stock ticker. So back to the actual quotes. We need the actual price, not just ticker information. Got ticker types, ticker overviews. All I really need is the price. There's a lot of different information you can get from this API. Even that crypto tickers in here. Ticker types. Related tickers, don't need that. Trades. Trade data. Response attributes. Here we go, price. So we need this API. So let's go back to here, turn our debugger off. Go away, debugger. Oh, so I guess you can't click this twice and make it go away. You actually have to click the edit properties again. All right, so instead of the ticker one, we needed this V3 trades, and then you can do different parameters as well to order the trades. So let's see what this looks like. Can I debug this without deploying? Oh man, looks like this is a higher tier to get this particular. Darn it. Wonder if there is a different one that I can use. Last quote. This might be the one I'm looking for. The ask price. Because I'm not subscribed to any paid tier. That one's not going to work. Let's try this one. Debug. That is cool. You don't even have to push this out there though. You can just update and run the debug step without deploying. That is pretty darn handy. So again, I need to be on a paid plan to use this particular price. It doesn't really tell me on this API guide which one is an actual paid plan access. Stocks basic, that's what I want. Yeah, I don't think it's actually going to give me any quote data on this free tier, unfortunately. Darn it. Well, let's see if there is a different API I can use. Or I might just have to pay the $30 a month. API. Quote. Looks like there's another one here. Let's see if this one works. One of these APIs will give me just a very simple stock ticker information, right? Daily open, daily high. This is all I really need. Yeah, and this is a demo API. Let's go ahead and use this one. Back to here, plug that in. Let me take that API key out of there. All right. Let's see what this one returns. Property set missing required property. Okay. Yeah, I deleted the API key, but I didn't delete the actual parameter. Cool. So this, again, is a sample API. I can go down the rabbit hole of actually figuring out the real API, but for this purpose, it's the IBM fake. It is showing me what it opened at, what its high, low, and close. What we really care about is basically what it opens at and what it closes at every day. So we're going to go off of that and then be able to showcase twice a day with an integration if we just schedule it to essentially share us that information. All right, so basically let's go back here. Now that we have information, we just need to get to time series. I wonder if it's going to actually show this when it's real data. This is kind of historic open closes. So effectively, we need to save this data and then display it onto our home page. But I'm trying to think about, because the JSON's a little funky because since it is daily, you kind of have to think how you're going to access that data on a daily basis. You'll essentially have to check your own current date and then pull the open and then the close from the previous day, which is simple enough. But we won't be able to do that, directly from a static or hard-coded piece of data. So that will be our next step, is actually getting. So we're going to start with the open. It's basically every single morning we want to see what the stock opens at. So let's go ahead and try and configure that in our response here. So when it comes back from the response, we should be able to then reference, this is JSON when it comes back. So metadata is the first bit of information, and then, or no, not metadata, excuse me. So this metadata is basically just the company information, and then we're going to look into this time series daily, and then the current date in this particular format, and then the open. So if we go to configure response, we should be able to try to find that on the JSON path. We're going to append a function. We're going to path, what is that? Probably have to put this as JSON, and JSON at JSON path. And then this is where it's going to get kind of tricky, because we need and I don't particularly like to think too hard on JSON paths, so I'm going to do this in a easier way. What happened here? Oh, this is the old one. Save that real quick. Debug this one more time. I'm going to grab, oh, it's not liking my path. Let me get rid of this real quick. So I'm going to start over real quick and grab that JSON so I can get the exact path that I want to get. So copy my big long value here. These brackets coming from? Oh, response headers. I don't want that. Just the response. I'm going to go to JSON path finder. I could stumble with guessing the JSON path, but I don't particularly want to. So we want this. Yeah, come on now. And then this, and the open. So this is my path. Again, this is going to need to be more dynamic when we actually implement this, because again, this daily time is going to change every day. But for my purpose, this is all I need. And we're going to go configure response again. Body as JSON. JSON path. And this is going to be my string I just grabbed. I don't know what this X is. Is that even going to work? Let's test it. So this one we'll actually have to deploy, because we need to see the data come back from the HTTP request, and you can't just test the end step, unfortunately, because there's no data coming into it. Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think that X is a thing. But you don't know unless you try. The thing is, why is it doing it like that? start this path with $dot. Where's my $? If I test my evaluator here, let's try that. So it's still building, so I can test it while it's deploying my code over there. See, that's not finding it. I don't think. Some of these JSON finders are better than others. I don't think that's going to find anything, but we'll try it anyway. That's a good question, Christian. I am not 100% sure on that one. Guess we're going to find out. We can switch to dot notation if need be. This is most likely just going to return an error. Yeah. No value exists at blah. Let me grab my test data again. There we go. That's a pretty dot notation that will most likely work. Configure response, go back to my JSON path. What is with the @ symbol? Getting all jumbled up here. All right, here we go. Oh, this is the @ I think that's supposed to be a $. $dot. I'm hoping this works, but we'll see. That's why we test. Yeah, it doesn't like the spaces in the daily time series. So let's just try to switch it back to bracket notation. We will do it live. All right, bracket. Let's just test this. JSON Pathfinder. Oh, JSON. does not like bracket notation on this one either. Expected star. Oh my gosh, it's gonna be this. These are some funky field names. Oof. Expression at blah. I don't think it's liking my bracket notation. Try putting the JSON path in a create values component and then passing it in. That's a good idea. All right, let's give that a try. Thanks for the suggestion, Christian. TMD bracket rotation requires quote characters. Does orchestration? Maybe. No, these field names on this API are pretty abysmal. Is this gonna work, or is this gonna just explode on the same stuff? I'll call this open value. Deploy. Yeah, if you're ever in the business of designing APIs, don't put spaces and weird characters in your field names. Build failed. On what? Does not seem to like this even here. Wonder if I can quote this. I don't know if that's gonna work or not, but might as well try, right? Come on. Hasn't exploded yet, so that's a good sign. Oh, and it exploded. All right. Well, that's not good. Oh, this API is not going to cooperate with me. Cool. Well, I'm going to hard code something just because that's what we're going to do. So we're going to just say this open value is $309. And the response is going to come from that create values. Eventually I'll get that to work. Well, with this unfortunate bracket notation, dot notation error, I think this is probably a good place to stop for the day. Tomorrow we can jump into actually putting this data into a home card, and then also putting that data into a notification that'll go out to, so you can basically put a push notification to your users to be able to see it's about to kick me off of Zoom here. And so we're able to get that data both within Workday and pushed to our users, which is kind of what I am shooting for here. I want to be able to be notified when a stock price hits a certain point. So we'll pick it up there tomorrow. We did create an orchestration. We have a business object that we're able to push data into when we have our data, and then from there we'll be able to display that data. So tomorrow we'll jump into that, but thanks for joining, guys. Appreciate it, and we'll catch you tomorrow.